Well, good morning, everyone. This is Pastor Dan, and welcome to morning prayer. Guess what today is? Today is Thriving Thursday, where we deal with some self development and growth tools that we're going to give you. Listen, this is an incredible year, and I know many things have already happened. I know things have transpired, but I want you to focus your mind because we have labeled this. I believe God spoke this to me, the year of good success. The year of good success. And if this is your first time to morning prayer, welcome. On Thursdays, again, we do self-development and growth. And would you do me a favor right now? Would you be a digital evangelist and ambassador and simply share this video? You can do that one of four ways. You can just simply click share and it will go across your entire timeline as far as your organic reach will go. Or you can click share again and the option to copy the link will come up and you can copy that link and text it to your friends, or you can tag someone in the comments right now. You go ahead and do that. Someone will see that, or you can simply send it in Messenger. Either way is good. You will be able to get this out. If something is resonating with you today, please boost hearts if you're on your phone. That lets people know that something really good is going on in here, and Facebook will notify them. And if you haven't loved the video yet, go ahead and love the video right now. That's an engagement. It's better than a reaction, which is a like. And so we really appreciate that. To love something, you just simply move your finger just a little bit over to the right and you'll be able to love it. All right, we're going to get into our anchor scriptures right now. These are scriptures that we chose some time ago that the Lord laid on our hearts that express what we do here and why we do it. I would suggest that you would commit these to memory. Commit these to memory. The first of which is Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things you do not know. And then 1 John chapter 5, verses 14 and 15. Now, this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. And so it's an amazing thing that we're being able to see what God is doing in our lives. What I want to do right now is I want to say good morning to some folks, and let's see who popped into the room first. We have a little bit of a bragging rights competition that whoever comments first in the room just get a little extra special shout out. So let's check that out. I see you guys commenting this morning. Always makes me feel good. Let me do the proverbial drum roll here. All right, that was a little extra, but okay. So here we go. Daniel Bishop has reclaimed his throne. He must have been taking extra minutes of sleep or something, but he's there. He says, good morning. Kim Bishop says, good morning. Look at that. Son and mother right after each other today. What a coincidence. Son and mother right after each other. Tamika Fisk says, good morning. Ruby says, good morning. Rhonda Jones says, good morning. My mother, Georgia, says, good morning. Karen Johnson Gilliam says, grand and glorious morning. Juanita says, good morning. Lawana Taylor says, good morning. Shanita's in the house today. She says, good morning. My man, Daryl Miles says, good morning, Pastor Dan. Bless you, man. He says, good morning all again. Glenda says, good morning. Eddie Walton says, good morning. Good to see you. Demetria says, good morning. My man, Nate Hill is in the house. He says, good morning. Wilma Johnson says, good morning. And Gigi is in the house today. She says, good morning. Retina's in the house today. She says, good morning. Shasa is right here, literally in the next room, right here this morning, getting stuff ready for Keisha for school. And then let's see who else we have in the house today. Patricia Hunt Taylor says, good morning, prayer family. Cheryl Williams is in the house today. She says, good morning. Jamil is here. She says, good morning, everyone. Kick is here today. She says, good morning. So good to see you. Dion is here. She says, great morning. Erica says, grand rising. Cynthia says, good morning. Then you've got Donna. She says, great morning to glorify God. I agree. Yes. Burnell says, good morning, family God. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Kanika is in the house today. She says, good morning. And then Yaya says, grand rising to all. Erica Wilson is here today. She says, good morning. Then Lakeisha is here today. She says, good morning. My mother said, she said, Daniel's back. He's back. Y'all know he's back. Wilma says, King Daniel is back. Felicia Covington says, good morning. Crystal Scarborough says, good morning. Taj Mark says, good morning. Megan Steele says, good morning. Gwendolyn says, good morning. And then Unique Dominique is in the house today. She says, good morning. So good to see you guys today. So good to see you guys today. All right. So I'm going to discuss some principles in my own way from a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. Now, the reason why I'm dealing with this on today is because if you want to see expansion, you first have to experience exposure. So that's point number one. You probably want to write that down. If you want to see expansion, you have to experience exposure. Where does that exposure happen first? In your mind. If you want to see expansion in your life, you first have to experience exposure in your mind. So just clarify that a little bit even more. Make that more succinct, more direct. If you want to see expansion in your life, you first have to experience exposure in your mind. Now, I want to take that and then take a quote that I came up with around circa 2012. If you don't see it before you see it, you'll never see it. If you don't see it before you see it, you'll never see it. If you talk to singers who sing greatly, they will tell you that before they did something, they heard it in their head. Now, it might happen quicker for them than it does for other people, but it's something they heard on the inside and then they let it out on the outside. What you see on the inside of yourself, you can see on the outside. I know someone was talking to me about meditation the other day, and I was trying to explain to them as a believer that meditation is all over the Bible. One of the problems is that we tend to meditate on things that are not beneficial to us. We use our memory rather than our imagination. Think about this. Think about this for a moment, and you'll find this to be maybe true in your own life. When most people think, they're thinking about what could have happened, what didn't happen, what should have happened, or the fact that something did happen that was not positive. We dwell on our negative memories. More often than not, this is what we do. We need to use our imagination because that's where you create. You were created by a creator to create. That's another gem you can write down. You were created by a creator to create. You were made in his image and likeness. When he made this world, he did something big. He dreamed big. He had big faith. The God kind of faith. He imagined a world that was pristine. He imagined a world that there were no limitations. Every possibility could be fulfilled. You're his creation. You're his kid. You can do the same thing. There are no limitations except for the ones that we put on ourselves. So I'm getting ready to talk to you a little bit about this today. The magic of thinking big. The magic of thinking big. So you'll find this if you get this book. It's by David L. Schwartz. You'll find this. So number one, believe you can succeed and you will. Now, I may say some things today that you have heard before, but sometimes you hear it, but you haven't heard it yet. You hear it, but you haven't heard it yet. For many of you, you've heard the scripture, faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. So just as a point of clarification, don't say by the word of God there because it's not theos in the Greek, it's Christos. The scripture actually says faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of Christ. And the reason why that's important is because every word of God can't give you faith. You can't look at the ceremonial and dietary laws in the Old Testament and get faith from that because it wasn't designed for you to get faith from that. That was designed to point you towards Christ, to place your faith in him. You're not going to get faith from that. But every word about Christ will give you faith. But the point is this, is that when he says faith comes by hearing, one day I heard it like this: faith comes by hearing. And then I read it again: faith comes by hearing. The question is this: how do you know when you've actually heard it? When faith comes. Faith comes by hearing. So I know I've actually heard it when faith shows up in my life. Supernatural faith for something that otherwise I would not have been able to believe and push forward past my own inhibitions and prohibitions, whether real or imagined. I would not have been able to do that had not I been infused with faith. So I know I've really heard it when faith comes for me to do it right then. That's how I know. And so the first thing we want to talk about is believe you can succeed and you will. That's the first part. Believe you can succeed and you will. So the size of your success is limited by the size of your thinking. If you don't believe you can achieve something, it's going to be harder for you. You're always going to look for ways as to why you can't do it rather than ways that you can do it. You have to begin to reconstruct your mind to have an expanded capacity so you can think bigger, because it's within that expanded capacity where you can figure out how things work and then take action steps. You have to believe it first. It's even a possibility, right? It's just a possibility. That's all you need. That's that mustard seed. I just need a little bit. You don't need a lot to work with, just that it's a possibility. So here's a question that you may want to ask yourself to determine the level of belief you have in yourself. Do you believe you will have positive relationships, partners, friendships? If you don't believe that, then you're not actually believing what's true about you. See, there's nothing wrong with you in terms of behavior. It's just your belief system that needs to change. Right now, you are living the life you believe. Oh, come on. Come on, write that down. Get that. You are living the life you believe. I'm going to say this again. Right now, you are living the life you believe. We don't wake up every day thinking that we want negative relationships or negative business opportunities and partners, but because of a belief system that we've adopted or we've adapted to, this is what happens. So here are 3 guides, if you will, to acquiring and strengthening the power of belief. Number 1, think success. Don't think failure. You know, it takes more energy to think about how it's not going to happen, how it's not going to work, than it does how it's going to work. It's all energy, and it depends on where you put the energy. And there's always going to be someone to try to enforce that negative belief system. And normally it comes from people who are inexperienced, uninformed, and who've never been anywhere themselves. This is why I teach people you don't have to demonize people, but you need to be very careful when you're going out and you're getting ready to do something. Be very careful and use discretion about who you talk to concerning what you want to do in your life. Because if you run into an uninformed person, if you run into an inexperienced person, most times you're going to run into someone who has to be negative because they simply don't know. And their own fears, their own prohibitions and personal inhibitions are going to be projected on you because they really don't want you to leave them. And they know that success could possibly take you out of their local associations. And you're going to have to make a decision right there that I can't talk to people about something I'm going to do that's going to advance me past them. I have to talk to the people who are already where I'm trying to go, because most people, now that's not everybody in your life. Some people will be happy for you, whether they go with you or not. But for the most part, uninformed and inexperienced people don't have the capacity to be happy for you when you're getting ready to make advancements in your life. And you need to begin to use wisdom and discretion about who you talk to about your dreams. Does that make sense? All right. So number 2, remind yourself regularly that you are better than you think you are. Remind yourself regularly that you're better than you think you are. Successful people are not supermen. Success does not require super intellect, nor is there anything mystical about success. And success isn't based on luck. It's not. Successful people are just ordinary folks who have developed belief in themselves and what they do. Never, yes, never sell yourself short. I was talking to someone the other day, and someone had this same conversation with me this year about raising the prices of their services to the level of who they are. And I told them that the minute you begin to believe that you're worth this, then that will be projected out into the atmosphere and it will attract the right people to you. See, well, here's what we don't understand. You can write this down. You can only attract, or you only attract what you project. If the same kinds of people, the same level of people keep coming into your lives, I have to begin to ask the question, what am I projecting? Because I may be projecting a version of myself that I'm not really aware that I'm doing. And I need to look at what am I projecting? Because you receive things on the same frequency that you're on. That's all it is. When we were celebrating the life of Bishop Tony Miller a couple of days ago, here's what we discovered. We discovered that, and this was said in the service, get on the frequency that God was on and amazing things can happen. You know, when people get together and they collaborate and they begin to do things with one mind, one way, and one sound, they can't be stopped. You even see that in the scripture. On the day of Pentecost, they were with one accord. People can do it for the bad and for the good. They did that with the Babylon Tower. They did all those things. Once you get on the same frequency of the good that you desire, things begin to happen effortlessly. they begin to happen effortlessly. You just have to remind yourself that you're better than you think you are. Here's number 3. Believe big. Believe big. Believe big. The size of your success, again, is determined by the size of your belief. If you want to think of great ideas or ways of doing things, you first have to believe it's possible. If you don't believe that you can get success in fitness, if you don't believe you can get success in your business, then you're probably not going to think of all the ways that you can achieve it. Again, you have to be on the same frequency of the good that you desire. So I can't expect great ideas. I can't expect my ingenuity to explode and to expand. I can't expect my innovation and my creativity to increase if I'm thinking of ways that it can't happen, because at that point it's incongruent and there's dissonance between what I want and where I am. And because of that, I cripple my ability to think of solutions that will take me to the place that I want to go. Does that make sense? All right. So now think little goals, you will have little achievements. You think big goals, you're going to have big success. And remember this, big ideas and big plans are often easier. They're more difficult than small ideas and plans. And the reason why that is, let me explain that. You're like, oh man, maybe a big plan is bigger. It's more difficult. Actually, it's not. Actually, it's not. It takes more energy to put into a small plan because it's beneath you, and your brain now has to work harder to get down to a level that you were not even created for. It has to work hard because your brain doesn't understand why it is that you're thinking so small. You think bigger, excitement comes, joy comes, expectation comes, expansion comes, exposure comes. And then your brain says, now we're cooking. Now we're moving into something that we can really do something with. Does that make sense? So you got to believe big. You got to believe big. You have to believe big. Now let's move into something else. You got to cure yourself of excuse-itis, the failure disease. You've got to cure yourself, of excuse-itis, the failure disease. I'm just taking principles from this book and I'm just putting them in Dan Thomas's way. Now, the more effective the person, the fewer excuses they make. Highly effective people make fewer excuses because they're constantly looking for ways to achieve their goals. They're not thinking about the health or the lack of time or who didn't give them whatever. They're not looking for that. Excusitis appears in a variety of forms, but the worst type of disease in this manner is health excusitis, intelligence excusitis, age excusitis, and luck excusitis. Let's deal with this. So, and this could be a sensitive subject, but I want people to understand that you can change where you are anytime you get ready. Anytime you get ready. All right. So somebody may say, well, man, my health is not good right now. This is what they say. So refuse to talk negatively about your health and about your body. I want to say this. Your body is a good thing. Don't hate your body. Don't demonize your body. Don't throw your body under the bus. Don't throw it up under the rug. Don't demean it. Don't diminish it. Don't decrease it in your mind. Your body is good. We've already proven that stress, anxiety, and fear compromises your immune system up to 70%. That's a medical fact. 70%, according to the Mayo Clinic, of all diseases are stress induced, including cancer. 70% of all health issues are caused by stress. I'm going to say this again. 70% of all health issues are caused by stress in the areas of anxiety and fear, in those areas. Now, this is something that you have to do because many of us are stressing about things that haven't happened, that probably never will happen. We talk about this stuff all the time, and we talk negatively. So the more you talk about an ailment, even the common cold, oh, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, the worse the cold seems to get. Have you ever noticed that? The worse the cold seems to get. Talking about bad health on any level is like putting fertilizer on weeds. Besides, talking about your health is a bad habit. It bores people. It makes you appear self-centered. You talk about yourself in a way as if you're not going to be here to accomplish the goals that you've been sent here to accomplish. So one may even get a little sympathy, but you don't get respect and loyalty by being a chronic complainer. So be grateful right now. I want you to change. Be grateful about where you are right now. You're breathing. Everything may not be the way you want it to be. And there's some steps and some measures that you can take to, get better, but don't talk about yourself right there. There's an old saying that's worth repeating. It says, I felt sorry for myself because I had ragged shoes until I met a man who had no feet. Think about that. Instead of complaining about not feeling good, it's far better to be glad that you're as healthy as you are and to move on to better yourself. So here's what I want you to do about that. Remind yourself often it's better to wear out than to rust out. Don't waste it. Don't pass up on living by thinking yourself into a hospital bed, which is what a lot of people do. All right. So does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Okay. Now let's deal with something else about this intellectuality myth. They say, but you got to have brains to succeed. You got to be wildly educated. All right. So number one, never underestimate your own intelligence and never overestimate the intelligence of others. So in other words, don't sell yourself short. Concentrate on your assets. Discover what your superior talents are. Remember, it's not how much brains you've got that matters. It's how you use your brain that counts. Manage your brains instead of worrying about how much IQ you've got. There are a lot of smart people who are broke. There are a lot of smart people who have terrible relationships. There are a lot of smart people who couldn't go into a boardroom and deal with anything business-wise. There are a lot of smart people who have no idea how to use the gift that they've gotten. It's not about the brains. It's about how you use your brains, discovering your talents, discovering your gifts. That's what it's about. And so remind yourself several times daily, My attitudes are more important than my intelligence. At work and at home, practice your positive attitude. See the reasons why you can do it, not the reasons why you can't. And develop an I'm winning attitude. Put your intelligence to creative, positive use. Use it to find ways to win, to prove that you don't have to lose. Did you know you were created to win? You were created to win. That's why losing doesn't feel good. Not because you're a loser, but because it's not natural. It's you're not supposed to lose. You're not supposed to lose. And when you do, it should spur you on to find a way to win and to find a way that it does work. All right. Now, remember this, that the ability to think is of much greater value than the ability to memorize facts. Use your mind to create and develop ideas to find a new and better way to do things. Ask yourself, am I using my mental ability to make history, or am I using it merely to record history made by others? I'm going to say that again. This is an important point. That's a big like elephant moment. Am I using my mental ability to make history, or am I using it to merely record the history of others? That's big. So here's what I want you to do. Look at your present age, the age that you are positively. Think, I'm still young. I'm good. I'm not old. Practice looking forward to new horizons and gain the enthusiasm and the feel of youth, no matter how old you find yourself to be today. Then look at how much time you have left. And remember, that's a lot of time. Use your experience to your advantage. Leverage it. You can get a lot done in the time, and invest into what you really want to do. Now that you may have a few years on this earth, use it to invest in what you really want to do. Skip the small stuff. Skip the stuff that doesn't matter. Skip the stuff that does you no benefit. Skip the stuff that brings no credible things or people into your life, and let negative things go. Let negative things go. Now, I see you guys are saying, I'm created to win. I'm created to win. I'm created to win. I'm created to win. I think what's happening now is people are actually coming into the reality that it's how I think. It's the way my mind is constructed. And I don't have to try hard. You know how people say, I'm going to win this year. I'm going to win. You don't have to do that. You really don't have to do that. Really, all you got to do is just change your mind. That's really all you have to do. And it's not an overnight thing, but it does work. I know it. I've done it in several areas of my life. So this is not something that I'm theorizing. This is something that I've experienced and I'm still experiencing. You need to be challenged. You need to be pushed. You need to be spurred on. Those things need to happen so that you can get to where you need to go. Now, some of you think, oh man, I've just got bad luck. I've got bad luck, and that's the reason why this stuff is happening. Let's debunk that too, because you'll say, but my case is different. I just attract bad luck. Well, here's what I want you to do. Accept the law of cause and effect. Take a second look at what appears to be someone's good luck. You'll find that not luck, but preparation, planning, and success produces thinking, a certain type of mindset that preceded that good fortune that you call luck. Take a second look at what appears to be someone's bad luck, and you'll discover that there are reasons. They planted bad seeds, they reaped a bad harvest. If you want to change your harvest, change your seed. If I sowed bad seeds and reaped a bad harvest, I can sow good seeds and reap a good harvest. I can start sowing a different kind of seed today. It's the oldest law in the earth, the law of sowing and the law of reaping. If I change my seed, my harvest is going to change. The only way you can change a cycle, the only way you can end a cycle, and every woman on here knows this, is by a seed. That's how you change it. I can raise the level of my thinking. People who are successful, when they have a setback, they learn, they profit from it. But when they want to be mediocre, they fail to learn. Everything is a lesson. Why didn't this work? Now, I say this all the time. When something doesn't work, people normally say, well, now I know it doesn't work. No, that's not what happened. You found out a way that it didn't work. It doesn't mean that it won't work. You just found out a way that it didn't work. So now you got to angle your position. You've got to modify your approach, and you got to get in there another way and find out a way that it does work. And when you do that, when you refuse to say, I give up, that this wasn't for me, and you do it anyway, you turn on a certain machination in your brain that causes you to begin to think outside sometimes of even where you've experienced. You begin to pull ingenuity and innovation and creativity from another world, and then you are gifted a kind of thinking that goes beyond your experience, and that's where the magic happens. You gotta think big. You gotta think big. There are too many people who are settling for the land of mediocrity, and mediocrity doesn't feel good. It's the same old, same old. It's the status quo. It's the people who say it's always been this way, as if it can't be another way. That is not who you are. That is not who you've been made to be. You've been made to progress. You've been made to advance. You've been made to excel. You've been made to move and to change and to go places that you have never gone before. It's not just fodder. It's not just hype. It's not just something that we're telling you so that you can feel good this morning. These things can really happen to you. There is happiness on the other side of this if you choose it. There is joy if you believe that it's there. These are things that are natural to you. They're your natural habitat. That's why you crave them. That's why you desire them. That's why you have an urge to do it. That's why there is a vehemence behind it, a desperateness even, because it's your natural habitat. Winning is your natural habitat. The atmosphere that you were created to be in was success. That's how you were created to be. That's why you want it. That's why it keeps coming up. That's why you keep hearing it. That's why God won't let you give up, because it's your natural place that he wants you to operate from. A success mindset is who you really are. How many people do we have on here that believe that today, that you have a success mindset? You have been given the ability to succeed. It's natural for you. It's very natural for you. It's very, very, very natural for you. All right. So let's keep going. Now, build confidence and destroy fear. I hope you're taking notes today. You can come back and you can do it, but I'm just dropping stuff on you. I'm just going to drop it on you. I'm good because I'm adamant about this. Now, when you have fear of things that are going to move you forward toward your goals, you've got to make peace with that fear. If you want your fear to go away, simply take action and do something. Now, what's very interesting about this is that when I was a freshman or a sophomore in college at Langston University in Oklahoma, I realized something. It was intuitive. I'd heard nobody say it before, didn't know anything. I just figured I'm not supposed to be afraid. So if 2 Timothy 1:7 says that God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind, I deduce from that if I'm feeling fear, number one, it's not from God. So if it's not from God, it has to be from the other place. And I'm not supposed to hold on to this. So if the fear is coming up about me doing something, then that spoke to me. That's the very thing that I need to do. What most people do is they do the opposite. They shrink back and they hibernate and go into a corner and say, this is not the thing I'm supposed to do because it doesn't feel right. But if God has not given me the spirit of fear and I'm fearing something, then that must be the thing that the enemy is trying to block me from, that's going to open up the world to me. And he doesn't want me to step into it, because most likely that thing is going to bring me down further on the path to my destiny. So I practice this and have practiced this for years, that whatever I'm afraid to do, now I know that that thing is being highlighted as the thing that I need to do. That's the thing that I need to do if I'm afraid to do it. That's how I know. That's how I know. So if you want your fear to go away, simply take action and do something. Do you get scared about taking an exam? Study more. Are you worried about talking to people? Go to public places and improve your communication skills. Now, many of you wouldn't believe this, but it's the truth. I used to visibly sweat, begin to sweat. My body would produce many beads of sweat anytime I had to do anything in front of anybody. I remember playing the drums and I had a little skill, but when I would get on there, I would freeze up and my arms would freeze and they would become inflexible. And ultimately, I wouldn't play well. Why? Because I was just so afraid and I didn't know how to break it. But eventually I began to practice more. I began to hang around people who were better than me. I began to do the thing that I was afraid of. Are you anxious? Are you worried? Do that thing. So I want you to make an effort to put only positive thoughts in your memory bank. Don't let negative, self-deprecatory thoughts grow into what is called a mental monster. You don't want to self-deprecate, right? You don't want to do that. Simply refuse to recall unpleasant events or situations. So here's the key. You can't control the thoughts that come into your mind. I mean, there are thoughts running through your mind right now. I mean, it's all over. I mean, you've got thoughts just running everywhere. I mean, they're just doing their thing. You can't stop that, but you can control the thoughts you dwell on. I hear people say, I just can't get over it. I just can't stop thinking about it. You have to think about something else. You have to not only remove a thought, you have to replace that thought. You can control that. If you think you can't, there's something lying to you, telling you that you can't, because you can. You absolutely can. You really can. You can control what you think about, what you dwell on. It's your mind. God has given you what you can control. So when we think about this, you got to put people in proper perspective. Remember, people are more alike than they are different. Get a balanced view of other people. Remember this. That person is just another human being, and develop an understanding attitude. Many people will bark, but it's rare that people will buy. So practice doing what you fear. Now, let's deal with a how, okay? Just very simply, briefly. How do you think big? That would be the primary question today, right? How do you think big? To become a big thinker, you must develop a big thinker's vocabulary. To become a big thinker, you must develop a big thinker's vocabulary. And there's something running through my mind right now as I'm thinking about this, that associated with becoming a big thinker is also becoming a free thinker. There are some of you who are listening today who are going to have to free yourself from the chains of limited thinking that have been imposed upon you via your upbringing or even your experience. And so being a big thinker is a result of becoming a free thinker. We'll return to that another day, but I wanted to mention that because those two are closely associated. All right. So to become a big thinker, you must develop a big thinker's vocabulary. Use big, bright, cheerful words. Use words that promise victory, hope, happiness, pleasure. Avoid words that create unpleasant images of failure, defeat, and grief. Someone was asking me some time ago, so you've become one of those positive preachers, huh? You one of those positive preachers. And I said, should there be any other kind of preacher? Even if I'm having to tell someone the truth, even if I'm having to come to someone and say something that shoots them between the eyes, I'm still going to end with positivity and hope because I've won. The battle's already over. I know how the story ends. There's always hope. There's always a future. I don't know another kind of preacher that should I be a negative preacher? The only thing that I know that's opposite of positive is negative. So I shouldn't be preaching hope. I should be preaching doom. I should be preaching gloom. I should be preaching something that's not redemptive, something that's not restorative. And I think that people don't understand what they mean, because sometimes You have to understand this. Your happiness and your joy will expose the cesspool of negativity that people are in, and they will begin to regret you and they will begin to despise you because you choose to be happy. Here's what I want to say. Don't let them spoil your joy. Just keep shining bright. Keep shining bright. Just keep shining bright. And if it's too bright for them, tell them to go to the local Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, whatever pharmacy they choose, whatever retail store they choose. They always have sunglasses for sale that they can buy if you're shining too bright. That would be the remedy that I would tell someone, that if I'm shining too bright for you, there are retail stores around where you can get some cheap sunglasses so I don't affect you as much. That's my solution for that. That's my solution for that. All right. So the other thing you can do to begin to think bigger is practice adding value to people. Practice adding value to people and yourself. Okay. So in this world, we're always going to get back what we put out. If you don't get back what you think, it's probably because you're not adding enough value. Relationships are so important, that they are so crucial to everything that we do. Pour your life into someone. So you've got to begin to think above trivial things. Okay? Think above trivial things. Focus your attention on big objectives. And before getting involved in some sort of petty matter, ask yourself, is it really important? Is it really important? Grow by thinking big. Grow by thinking big. I may have just dropped what is the most important thing I've said this morning. The most important thing I've said this morning. Asking yourself, does it really matter? Should I waste my time and my energy on something that in 2 hours or in 24 hours won't even matter? Can I ask you a question really quickly? Because this is what cripples people's ingenuity and their creativity and their ability. Because we focus on things that don't matter. They won't matter in the long, grand scheme of things. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What am I focusing on, or what am I giving more attention to than what it deserves? That could be a person. It could be a place. It could be a thing. It could be a past thought that I'm giving more credence and due deference to, and it's more than what it deserves. Way more than what it deserves. Does it even matter? Does it even matter? All right. Now, let's deal with just a couple of more things here. How to think and dream creatively. Okay. How to think and dream creatively. If you believe in yourself and you really believe that things are possible, you're more likely to think that you can do things. And if you believe you can succeed, then you will. I know that sounds simple and that may be trivial to people, but it's true. If you believe you will, you will. When you believe something can be done, your mind will find the ways to do it. I wish I had time to teach about this aspect of the mind and how your mind is designed to go and get things for you. Now, this is no longer theory. This is no longer conspiracy. This is science now. Now, it's always been true. It's always been true. When Jesus will go into a town and heal everybody, he had to believe that everybody was going to be healed. He believed that. He did. Do you know how much belief you have to walk on water? Let's examine this for a moment. Let's examine Peter walking on the water. Now, we often demean Peter because he began to sink. The scripture says he began to sink. But we fail to give him credit for the fact that he walked on the water. And apparently he did it for quite a while. And he did it during a storm, which probably means there's one version that says that when he walked on the water, one version says he danced in the rain above something that was supposed to sink him. But let's examine just for a moment his thought process. Everyone here knows that you can put your hand through water, that it's not a solid substance, that if I stick the solid matter that my body is through the water, it will go through it. What kind of belief did he have to muster? Because if you think about it, the way I put my feet on the floor is different than the way I put my feet in water. My brain knows the difference. That I'm not going to just put my foot on a floor like that and almost break my leg. I'm not going to do that. Nobody jumps off a diving board on the concrete because they know they're not going through that concrete, but they can go through the water. Here's Peter. He knows it is not a solid substance. He will drown. He will go through it. And apparently he couldn't swim. And so his mind goes through a major transformation. Think about this, that his mind now says, you can walk on this. Now, here's what's crazy. People don't understand this. His mind changed the world outside of him and caused a substance that's clear and you can pass through it to become solid to him because he believed it. He told Jesus, if it's really you, bid me to come. Jesus says, come. He walked on that word, and something that his leg would have normally passed through now obeyed the belief of his mind and became solid to him. And he walked on the water because of his belief. His belief internally changed what he experienced externally. Catch it today. It changed things around him. That's how powerful your belief is. That's how powerful it is. What would happen if you just started believing just a little bit? My business is going to scale. I am going to be a millionaire. What new thoughts would start coming to your mind? What new innovations and inventions and ingenious creations would start coming to your mind if you just started focusing your mind and believing different? I mean, look at the magnanimity of what he did. He got out of that boat knowing that no one had ever walked on water. He's probably in amazement and shock at seeing Jesus do it, doesn't know how he's doing it. And he said, listen, I'm going to think differently. This is possible. This is why you got to get around some people who've done the impossible. This is why you have to start hanging around folks who take risks. This is why you got to start getting around people who don't see limitations as something that should stop them, but as something they should push through and bust through. You got to start getting around people like that who push you, who prod you, who you're a little intimidated by because they'll make you do some stuff that you've never done. They'll pull some things out of you that you didn't even know was there. They will encourage you in ways that you've never been encouraged before, and they will challenge you in a manner which forces you to get out of your comfort zone. To get it, he walked on the water, but what changed the water? His mind. The water obeyed a man who had been given authority over all the fish of the sea. Oh, we went over there, if you were there yesterday, talking about dominion. He realized in that moment, I have dominion. I have authority. I have legal right to change stuff. He realized in that moment. What if you started believing the actual things that we read about? You know why? You know what I used to get frustrated about when I would read the book of Acts? I would get frustrated. I mean, just completely beside myself because there was more going on in the lives of dead people 2 millennia before me than it was in my own life and in the lives of people I saw who said they believed that this God could do things. And I didn't see it anywhere in my life or in my experience. I was frustrated. How could there be more activity going on in the lives of dead people than there was in my life, and I'm alive? And I said, you know what? I can no longer accept this. I've got to change my mind. I've got to change my mind. That's what I got to do. So ask yourself daily, how can I do better? I'm just wrapping up this how to think and dream creatively. There is no limit to self-improvement. No limit. When you ask yourself, how can I do better? Sound answers will appear. You need to try it and see. How can I do better? Your ideas will begin to flood your mind. Ask yourself, how can I do more? Capacity is a state of mind. You know, obviously one of my favorite players in the NBA is Russell Westbrook. And people marvel at how he's an energizer bunny from the time the game starts to the time that it ends. And they said, don't you ever get tired? His answer is always the same. Tired is a state of mind. And they wonder how he does it because he refuses to believe that all that's in the tank is all there is. He knows there's more. So he's literally pulling from another place. He knows the difference. Asking yourself, how can I do more, puts your mind to work to find intelligent shortcuts. The success combination is this: do what you do better, improve the quality of your output, and do more of what you do. Increase the quantity of your output. So I'm going to say this again, and someone maybe will write this down. Here is the success combination. And for you business owners, this is going to be big. Do what you do better. That's improve the quality of your output, and do more of what you do. Increase the quantity of your output. Those two things. I'll say this again. Do what you do better. Increase the quality of your output, and then do more of what you do better. Increase the quantity of your output. Practice asking and listening. Ask and listen, and you're going to obtain raw material for reaching sound decisions. Remember, big people monopolize the listening. Small people monopolize the talking. Oh, wow. Wow. Big people monopolize listening. Small people monopolize talking. Stretch your mind. Get stimulated. Associate with people who can help you think of new ideas, new ways of doing things. Mix with people of different occupational and social interests. Start thinking big. Start thinking big. All right. That's all I got time for today. I'm actually going to come back to this next time. I won't leave you hanging because there's much more, but that's all I got. That's all I got. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? I feel like answering some questions today, and then I'll go ahead and I'll give you your actual declaration for the day. But are there any questions? Any questions? I guarantee you, if you listen to this 3 times this week and do one thing from here, you're going to see market change in your life. I'm telling you now, you're going to see it. You are going to see it. So I'll just wait for a second while you guys are getting some questions today. I'll wait for a second. And just so you know, I've committed myself to coaching 10 people. I have 4 slots left. 4 slots left. And most of not all of these people have taken me up on a year. On a year. I want to coach you. I want to put this into you. I want to make this a reality for you. And I coach by intuition and prophetic resolve that the Lord gives me. That's the distinction in what I do, is because I love to hear on behalf of other people for their lives. I love to do it. I love to do it. So that link that you see, if you want to take a screenshot of that, you can set up a consultative call with me. It'll be about an hour. I want to find out about your dreams, your passions, your goals, your motivations, to see if we're a good fit for each other. We may not be, but at least we can talk about it. So of course, that costs you nothing. And then we can see what options are available to you. And if I know someone who would be better suited for you, and I know a lot of people, then I'll refer you there. I just want to see you win. That's it. I just want to see you win. So here it is, just one more time. If you want to take a screenshot of that, give me a call. If you don't screenshot, if you don't do that, just simply type coach me. And under your comment, I will reply to you with this link and you can set up a time so that we can talk. I just really want to help you with that. Karen, I couldn't remember what statement that is. Sorry. I have to go back because I said so much. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I really, really, really apologize. I just can't remember because, when I'm moving, I'm just moving. So you have to do something that you've never done before to get something that you've never experienced before, but it's up to you. That fear is a false barrier that will always be there anytime you get something new, but it's a barrier to entry that you can get past. Okay. It's a barrier to entry. So here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do today. Jacqueline said, I do have a question. Jacqueline said, let me put it up. So she says, I feel sad when I win and others lose. How do I handle that? Actually, my wife asked this question the other day. And the reality is this, is that losing is not bad. And I think somehow that we've made it to be bad when we actually, and I would encourage you to read a book by John Maxwell. It's called Sometimes I Win, Sometimes I Learn. So he took the word lose out because we don't lose, we learn. So you could be in a phase of your life where you have now won because you have applied and implemented the lessons appropriate to the time of your life. Someone else is in a learning phase, what we call losing. Someone else is in a learning phase, and we have to let their life be their life. Your journey is different than theirs. And if we don't understand this, you know what's going to happen? We're going to get jealous. We're going to get envious. And we're going to start comparing ourselves with other people and supplant their journey unto ours. And then we're going to be like David in the Bible, who Saul had tried to put armor on him. And David wisely said, hey, this doesn't fit. This absolutely does not fit. I can't wear this. I can't go into the battle with that. So understand that person, though you may know them, though you may have close association with them, is on an entirely different journey than you. And so they're learning on their way to winning. You've now reached a point where your learning has brought about winning. You're just in two different spaces and places, even though you're close. Does that make sense, Jacqueline? All right. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes I win, sometimes I learn. Patricia, the other book that I spoke about where I was drawing principles from today was The Magic of Thinking Big. The Magic of Thinking Big. Okay. So here's the deal, folks. Thank you, Sherry or Cherie. Thank you. So this is what it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So that's my answer to that. Any other questions today? Any other questions today? And I want to tell you guys, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. The biggest thing that's going on right now that I saw during the pandemic is people, because of all the bad news reports, they went into hibernation instead of going into self-appreciation and honing their skills, developing new skills. And now there's fear, anxiety, and stress coming out of the pandemic because we're on the other side of it, because vaccinations are going on. People are now saying, oh man, what did I do? And they have regrets around not taking advantage of the time that they were given because they didn't see it. And so that's why coaching is so important right now. Counseling is going to be so important. Psychiatrists, psychologists, all those people in those fields, because there's going to be a lot of shame and regret. And so that's why I want to help people. The only reason why I can do 10 people a year, because one-on-one coaching takes time. It takes, you have to really be invested in people to do it. You have to be invested in people. You just can't just throw something up there and say, oh man, I hope you make it. No, it takes time. It takes time. So you can do that. Contact me or on that link, or you can just simply type coach me and I will get in touch with you by putting the link as a reply to your comment. Erica has a question. She says, how do I handle trying to take people with me, but they aren't as motivated, but want the same results? Then you need to drop them immediately. Because here's what I tell people. It's your responsibility for you to succeed. See, a lot of times, Lisa Nichols had to do this, and she blessed me with this. She had to disassociate herself from her family and her loved ones for a time. She says, because you produced me and I am who I am. Listen to this. This is important. She said, you produced me. I am who I am. But because I am who I am and you are who I am and I am who you are, I have to separate myself for a time to go become something different and then come back to you so that I can help you. It's hard to help people when I'm not established myself. And if we put ourselves in a position where we want something more for someone else than they want it for themselves, then what we have done is we've not only crippled them, we've crippled ourselves, because we have brought them into a belief system that I can want something for them that they don't want for themselves and produce the same level of success for them that I will for myself, and it'll never work. It'll never work. So you're not God. You can't make decisions for them. You can't get into their want to. And if they want the same results without putting in the work, that means they are solely dependent on you. And it becomes your responsibility for them to be successful. And that could ruin the relationship, because if they don't become as successful as you, which they won't because they're not putting in the work, then ultimately they'll blame you for them not being successful. And so you got to get out of that right now. You got to get out of that right now. That is not your responsibility. Everyone comes into this world carrying their own knapsack. And this is in the book Boundaries. It's everyone comes in. No one is supposed to help you with your knapsack. That's your own personal burden. But then there are times where boulders come into our life where we need a help. But this is not a situation where someone else needs help. And as I'm looking at your question even more, how do I handle trying to take people with me? Well, establish yourself first. Get yourself square first. Learn some things. God sent Moses by himself in the wilderness for 40 years. Now, it's not going to take you 40 years. I'm just using this as an example. He took him to the wilderness 40 years, taught him, got him ready, increased his capacity and his faith. Then he sent him back to people who didn't believe and were struggling. And then he was able to lead them somewhere he had already been. He'd already seen the promised land, already been to it. He didn't walk in it and live in it. God trained him there. He came back, got the people who the promised land was promised to, and then led them already having experience and already been exposed to it. Okay. So that's my answer there. Jacqueline says, is it my responsibility to go back and get them once I help myself? If you feel called to it, but again, if they don't want to go, remember the children of Israel, God let an entire generation die off in the wilderness because of unbelief, because he couldn't have that old thing going into a new place. I believe they went home to be with the Father, but they didn't believe. And so if you go back, you've got to look now with a different eye. I'm asking who's willing to go. I'm not here trying to convince you now. I'm here asking, do you want to go? You don't have to have everything together. So it's not your responsibility. It's your responsibility to help people. It's your responsibility to give of what you have been given, but it's not your responsibility to make people go. So just remember that, just to make people go. You have to go where you feel you're being sent. And if it's back to the place you came from, go. If it's being sent somewhere else, go there. You're going to be successful where your assignment is, not where you necessarily feel that you should go back. So just be clear on your assignment. Just be clear on your assignment. All right. These are great questions. Great questions. Latella, we are praying for you. We are definitely praying for you. Suzanne says, My family and I have a landscaping business, and we're looking to grow it so we can open up other jobs. How do we go about getting it off the ground? Now that's an excellent question, because that's a question of scaling. All right. So that's a question of scaling. So the first thing I would say is, first question I would ask you is, have you exhausted your customer base between your warm contacts? I would be seriously interested in what your current structure is, and how have you gotten your first clients? Because here's one thing that I know, because you're probably ready now to find out what your target market is. So there's a few things you can do. Now, your target market is often seen in who you've already attracted. Okay. So if you look at certain demographic qualities, uh, and I take ethnicity out of it. So just take that out of it. But if you look at other demographic qualities, who have I been attracting? What income level? What is it? Business? Is it personal people? Is it homes? Whatever. What I need to now begin to look at all the jobs that you've done, all the landscaping jobs. What attracted you to them and then to you? Study that. Take some time, study that, and then begin to concretize your actual target market and get it down. That what you're going to find out is that that's going to start excluding some people, but your target market could look like this: small businesses who have a certain amount of square footage, who are looking to expand, and it gets very specific. Now, you'll take any job, but if you study who you've attracted, you'll notice that there are patterns there, and there are repeatable, noticeable things. So I would take that opportunity, all the jobs you've already done, begin to understand your target market, and then begin to market towards those people, because you have a natural attraction and magnetism to those people. So that's the first thing I would do. Then, then once that happens, I would begin to train whoever's under you to begin to attract that. What you're going to find out. It's the reason why target market is so important, and understanding who you're attracting, because now you begin to own it. There's an interesting principle called product association. That's one way to say it in the brain. So let's say I went out and I bought a Mercedes, S-Class, the biggest one they had, and I never really noticed them on the road. But now all of a sudden, right now, all of a sudden, I see them. Why? Because I have that now. So that's the thing. And then start looking for partners. You know how people, they sublet. I see somebody I just said that. Brittany is just saying this. Thank you. We're on the same page. Just the same way that people sublet their apartment to pay their leases or whatever, they sub it out to help pay for that. Well, then do that. Look for partnerships. But let me just read what she says, and then probably I won't go as long. Look for partnerships and contracts with businesses that require your services. Get together with people who are doing real estate flips, apartment complexes, so you can show consistency and have references, building up capital to do advertising and marketing. And what she just did was she just turned the other side of the coin that she's doing. There are people out there that are looking for that. And so I'm not sure if what you do is commercial or is it personal landscaping, but going into the commercial market and landing good contracts and doing a good job can always be profitable in scaling in what you do, because that's never going away. The maintenance of a property and how it looks, that curb appeal, is always going to be something that businesses are looking to do, because they need that to be able to maintain a certain presence and brand in their city. So that's bar none. Great stuff, Brittany. Great stuff. So, all right. Erica says, I noticed that you reference books during prayer. Are there any you recommend that helps reconditioning my mind or relates to the message? Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot that come through. I read a lot. I read a lot. I read a lot of stuff. Think and Grow Rich. That'd be the first suggestion I make. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Read that. Read that. Tamika also says that you can set yourself up for government to get contracts. And as you guys see people commenting, because I'm not the only one who has all the knowledge, You guys kind of know how I roll. I love collaboration. I think the new innovation is collaboration. The new innovation is collaboration. So, Suzanne, if I were you, I'd inbox Brittany, I'd inbox Tamika. You guys don't know what kind of partnerships and stuff could come just from being here on morning prayer. This is why I do this day, so that the magic can happen, right? The magic can happen. But Think and Grow Rich is that book. Okay? That's I'm telling you, Think and Grow Rich. I like what Karen said. She says, help everyone. See, she took what I said in 7 minutes and put it into one statement. That's why she's Coach KG. I'm a coach too, but she help everyone, but wait on no one. Come on now. Help everyone, but wait on no one. As a matter of fact, I just changed. You know what? Make that the declaration for the day. I had one. I make that help everyone, but wait on no one. If you don't mind, Karen, we can use that today. If we can use that, help everyone, but wait on no one. Okay, Suzanne, I see you. Yeah, personal right now, looking to advance. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. All right. All right, folks. All right. All right. All right. That's good. Help everyone, but wait on no one. Come on now. That's a message. That is a message. Is a message. All right. So, all right, folks, we're getting ready to get out of here. Tomorrow is Prayer Request Friday. We take the time to pray for each and every individual prayer request. Bring your own prayer request, someone you're standing in proxy for. Okay, go ahead and do that. I see my man Cedric is here. So people, there's a lot of people on here who do a lot of things. What I specialize in, and this I'm telling you, you got to know your lane. So another part of it is thinking big on what your lane. Like I've figured out in language, at this particular time, and seasons change on this, but what I'm supposed to do, I help leaders and entrepreneurs who have adopted unfit paradigms and paths discover their personal blueprint by shifting them from what they can do to what they were created to do. I'm the guy that helps you turn the light on concerning your identity and your purpose, and I get you marching down the path because I believe that's the first thing that needs to happen. You got to know you. You got to understand yourself. Then you can talk to a Brittany. You can talk to a Tamika. You can talk to them. That's why I started Discover You Academy, which in the new version 2.0 is coming out in March. You guys are going to be hearing about that very, very soon. I'm super, super duper excited about that. And so, yeah, just come on into it. One last thing, Erica says, I don't feel like I'm pouring into myself enough. I want to start my group home for juvenile offenders, but I don't know where to start. So here, when people feel like that, let me say this, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. So you got to start somewhere. Don't kick yourself for where you think you are. Just start. Starting a business, like look it up. I tell people, and of course, we know this is not diminishing the Lord. Just everybody understand where I'm coming from. One of the greatest things that could have ever happened to the world is Google. And there are so many things they can put on. So I'm literally, Erica, if you started, and there may be some people here that can help you, but if you started how to start a group home, you know what's going to come up? A million things. Now, we know that you're going to need to acquire property. There are legalities behind that, because I know someone who's doing that. You have to be approved. Zoning has to be right. I know someone doing that in Oklahoma City right now, but there are certain things that you have to have for they come in, they inspect. You're going to have to get with DHS and so that's where I would start there, because I know somebody who's doing that right now. You need to get with Department of Human Services in your city, right? And they can help you with that process, but just get the steps. Don't beat yourself up. You got to start somewhere, and it's okay. The fact that you have the idea and the desire is what's key and crucial. That's what's key. So start there. But I would talk to DHS, and then I would also use Google. That Google guy, he seems to know a lot, or she seems to know a lot. I don't know, but they just seems to know a lot. All right. Okay, folks. All right. Let's send us out with a blessing today. Today was good. Share this with somebody if you haven't already shared it. Love it if you haven't already loved it. Listen to it 3 times before the weekend is out. And just go ahead and just get your stuff. All right. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 a.m.
Ephesians chapter 3, verses 20 and 21. A benediction. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power at work within us. To him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen.